Hey guys, welcome to my train room. My name is Don. This is the CCP&T O gauge railroad. Now, if you're an HO guy or an N scale guy, hang on. Don't take off just because I said O gauge. I've spent my model railroading life with HO gauge. That's all I'd ever done. But about 7 or 8 months ago, I kind of got the feeling, getting a little older, it's getting a little harder to see, getting a little harder to work on that small stuff. I decided I was going to make the switch and move over to O gauge. Now, with that, I think in my videos, you're going to see a lot of my HO days are going to be coming through. Whether it's scenery like this, backdrops, working with a lot of stuff that the HO or the N gauge would work, but still works real well with the O gauge. So I'd like to think my videos are going to kind of work for any gauge, no matter what you're doing. We're going to do scenery. We're going to need to build trees. We're going to build buildings. My building back here, the first one I put on the layout, was scratch built. Didn't have a kit, so build it from scratch. So I'm going to do a lot of that type of stuff. We got to mold rocks. We have to paint rocks. All kinds of things like that that normally you might see with the HO gauge or the N. Maybe not quite as much in the O, but that's what we're going to do here. We're going to run trains. We're going to even do some switching. I like to do switching every once in a while. So I think in the end, you're going to see just a little bit of everything. Let's talk about how big is the layout. That's what everybody usually asks. Okay, how big is this? Is it 4x8, 4x10, 6x12, whatever? Well, in my case, it's a little different because I saved some of the HO. My mountain over here, this was actually a leftover from my HO time, and I didn't want to tear it apart, so I kind of hung on. I modified it a little bit, and I was able to make it work for O gauge. Though I suppose now it's not a mountain, it's more like a hill now, but either way, we saved that. But the tables don't go in a straight line. Everything kind of moves around. So maybe the easiest way to tell you is the room. This room is 15.5 feet across from east to west. It's 22 feet from north to south. Now, when I started out in HO, I was using probably a little less than half the room. When I switched over to O, I moved over to a little over half the room. And then about a month or so ago, I decided, nah, we got to make a change. So I pretty much tore out everything except for what you see behind me. Everything else went new. I enlarged the table again, laid down all new track again. And today, we're now using probably 80% of the room. So if we're going to expand anymore, we're going to have to expand the room before we expand the layout. We're getting to that point anyway. All right. In the thumbnail, I said we were going to do an overview of the layout. So that's what we're going to need to do. I think the easiest way to do that is I think we're going to put a train on the tracks. I'm going to send a train around, and we're just going to follow him around so you see what the entire main line looks like. Now, before we do that, I want to kind of give you a simplified version of what you're about to see. All right. Here is where my HO days are going to come into play. When I got into O, I started watching, and I'd seen people like might have a 4x8 or a 4x10 layout, and they'd have like 2 loops on this layout, and they might have a third loop elevated above the other 2, and none of those loops were connected to each other. 3 separate loops running 3 separate trains, all independent of each other going around. And I gotta admit, just starting with O gauge, I didn't quite understand that. But as I went along, I kind of figured, okay, I understand you're running conventional. That's why guys are doing this. In my case, I see my layout a little differently. I'm going back to that HO time again. I see my layout as more of a point to point. I'm at point A, I need to get to point B, but in the middle, there's some sidings where I may need to stop, pick up a car, drop off a car, such as what a real railroad would do. That's kind of the way I see mine. Now, that being said, I can put a train on a track. Let's just let him run. We're going to let him go, and he's going to go around and around and around, just like he would if you had an oval loop sitting on a table. Mine's going to do the same thing. But mine's going to get there just a little bit differently. And to give you an idea, simplistically, a real simple way to show you what my layout is. It's going to look like this. Basically, I have 2 reverse loops with a single track in the middle connecting them. So what I'm doing is I'm going around and around the track, but at the same time, my train is changing directions every time. He's really going to go around the track counterclockwise one time, and when he comes back, he's going to be going around clockwise the next time. So it adds a little bit of diversity by using the 2 reverse loops. So let's do this. Let me grab the camera, get a train on the track, and let's go around and let's see what it looks like. All right, we'll start out here. We're on the upper level, and we're getting ready to enter the reverse loop here that's on the upper level. Going past the mine and behind the mountain, hill, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be some changes coming up this upper level, guys, in the future. All right, we're back out of the reverse loop, and we're about to leave the scenery area. From this point forward, there is no scenery, so we got a lot to do. Now we're going to go down the decline, or is it an incline when you go up and decline down, or is it an incline all the time? It's just sometimes you go down it. I'm going to have to kind of along with it here because there's a window in the end, and you won't be able to see much with the window, so we'll try to do this. And right here, we're going to stop for just a second. We are now at the second reverse loop. This is the entrance to the second reverse loop. We're on the lower level, and this reverse loop takes up the entire lower level. So let's get started. We're going to come right back to this spot when we get done on the lower level here. You can start to see some sidings. There's my station, or will be. You can see those sidings are done in fast track instead. Someday we'll get into that. The cardboard boxes represent where eventually buildings are going to go, hopefully, someday. Now we're on the lower level. See if we can get you back here where he comes out of that tunnel. And we'll move way back over here. See if we can catch him. There we go. It's coming back out. Now coming back in behind all the sidings. And back through the reverse loop again. And we're heading up the incline. And this will take us back to where we started. Well, there we go, guys. There's the main line for the CCP&T. We've kind of covered the entire layout. I didn't go through any of the sidings, and we're going to save that. We're going to kind of come back and do that next week. I want to discuss the sidings. I got some other stuff kind of off-site to show you that goes with that too. Also, as you've seen it, I'm going to make some changes. I have 2 changes I'm going to make. I'm kind of saving those. I decided, hey, let's get this video done. We're going to come back on the next video. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, or tell you what I'm going to do on the new changes. And then that stuff you'll probably see down the line in future videos as we go. But for the initial video, the first time, this one will wrap it up. We've showed you everything. Hope you like, hope you subscribe and come back. And if you got any comments or anything you see or suggestions, hey, don't hesitate to leave them. As I said, I'm pretty new in O gauge, so I'm still learning when it comes to that. Hey, we'll see you next week.